boy! You think you hard. Here I come, this is my final time. You wasn't expecting this, boy!
My son is addicted and obsessed with violent video games.
I hear your guns.
Video games are my son's #1 priority.
He plays when he wants, where he wants, and for as long as he wants.
I don't want to sound like I'm a future serial killer, but it's fun.
With the development of computers and the internet, the way of entertainment changed over time. Instead of chasing in the park, more and more kids change their minds and chose video games as their childhood friends. However, there is something we need to know before recognizing this simply as a shift in children's entertainment.
The concept of video games is a fairly new one, and nobody really knows what their long-term effects are, especially on children's developing minds. And a big question people are asking is, does seeing and being in a violent environment make children do more violent things when they grow up? Basically asking if playing violent video games can cause kids to think more aggressively and even behave more aggressively in their adult lives. There are studies on violent media indicating that watching violence in TV shows and movies may develop aggressive tendencies, reduce caring about others, and increase confrontational and disruptive behavior in people. And it's not too far of a leap to assume that similar things could come of violence in video games. Backing that up, Harvard Health says, quote, there has also been concern that exposure to the extreme violence that is commonly found in video games can desensitize teens and young adults to such violence, causing emotional problems and even leading to young people committing acts of violence, end quote.
Playing violent games also affect your wording, like saying I'm going to kill this person or I died, and you wouldn't normally be saying those things, but as you repeat them more and more, they get more ingrained into your vocabulary, and these phrases seem more acceptable to you even in normal everyday conversation. And one thing we know and have probably even observed in our own life is, for example, if we have been watching media with a lot of swearing in it, we start to swear more. Or even something as subtle as if the character in the media we consume have really good posture all the time, like if they are kings and queens in a period piece, then we start to sit up more straight subconsciously. And if something like this actively happening, imagine the effects of playing a video game with shooting, blood, gore, and dead bodies everywhere can affect one's psyche, especially if that person is really impressionable like a young child. Part 2. Moreover, there are more designs of video games that can cause gender issues because existing social problems such as sexism, stereotypes, inequality, and discrimination are influencing the design process unnoticeably. These inserted ideas in the previous programming can unconsciously influence children and worsen gender problems. The industry itself, which is already male-dominated, might also consciously or unconsciously form an idea of exclusiveness against women. The behavior are not limited to inappropriate jokes or gossip and sexual harassment. Many elements in the game might intend to please a male class to develop loyalty and dependency due to their user portrait. Here's some example of those improper elements in the game. Mostly, women characters are wearing more unnecessarily exposure suits to create a flirty fantasy for males. Compared to the design of sexual appealing costume on women, men wear more flexible and protected arm and devices. You can also see a similar situation in the film industry.
Another example is that women's character is limited to an oversimplified versions due to stereotypes. The images are either powerless princesses who need to be saved by men, or evil women who betray all relationships and seduce every man they met. All the types mentioned share the commonality of young and sexy looks and unimportant functions. And in the game, most girls fight to be selected by men, usually in the role of the players, or show their sexy figures throughout the movement. These examples are typical behavior of sexualizing and materializing women on these video games, aiming at creating an attraction for their targeted male grown-up men.
It is pretty well known how today's children are spending more and more time indoors, and video games are contributing to that heavily. I mean, why would you go outside when it's too cold or too hot and get dirty and sweaty and expend that much effort when you could be inside in a perfectly air-conditioned room with headphones in playing a game on an HD monitor? And when kids are inside, the parents don't have to keep an eye outdoors and make sure everything is okay. They know that their child is safely inside and can relax a bit more too. It seems like the easier choice for everyone. Statistics from MinPost show that the percentage of kids who go outside every day has been cut in half in around the past 30 years, and the increase in production and development of video games is ensuring that that percentage goes even lower. This actually turns into a serious problem concerning the alarmingly low vitamin D levels in US children. Symptoms of low vitamin D levels include impaired growth, bone pain, muscle cramps, and more. Statistics in a pediatric journal from United Press International say that approximately 7 out of 10 kids in the US have low vitamin D levels. Not getting enough sun is a main cause of vitamin D deficiency, and a lot of articles are blaming the high video game and television usage among kids for this.
Adding on to the physical repercussion of playing too many video games, Harvard Health Publishing states that many gamers suffer from vision problems that occur because of eye strain, and this can lead to headaches and poor concentration. There is also such a thing as a gaming addiction, also known as Internet Gaming Disorder (IGD), and this can lead to seizures and psychological problems. More commonly, spending too much time playing video games can cause carpal tunnel, migraines, sleep disruptions, backache, and eating irregulations. Carpal tunnel syndrome is one of the most well-known consequences and occurs when the main nerve between the forearm and hand is squeezed or pressed to be swollen, says Video Game Addiction Org. Overuse of a video game controller as well as a computer mouse can cause such irritation. Carpal tunnel has actually been associated with excessive computer usage for quite a while now.
There are some arguments in favor of young children playing video games that say that it can help them make friends and socialize more. But how many stories have you heard about children meeting dangerous people online and sometimes even getting hurt by them in their real life? By, for example, getting credit card information from them. Or something worse, like trying to meet them in person and physically harming them, which is really scary to think about. And since they're just kids, they don't know better than just to think that everybody online are their friends and don't mean any harm. Another argument is that video games can help develop the imaginations of young children, but books can actually do that too. There are so many TV shows and movies made specifically for kids that they can watch. They don't have to be playing a first-person shooter game where they are controlling a character that is actively shooting guns and grenades at people. And with virtual reality headsets, this experience has become even more immersive and realistic. It is like you are actually there and the person shooting in that environment. After going through those 3 questions about mental and physical influence and gender issues, we hope everyone can know more about video games for kids, not just a new way of babysitting or introducing new technologies. The hidden impact should be drawn to attention and dealt with appropriately as soon as possible.